You know, in this huge rush to cram AI into every corner of our lives, a really influential group of experts has just slammed on the brakes. So today we're going to unpack this major warning shot from the academic world, all about where AI just shouldn't go.
All right, check out this number, 416. What is that? Well, that's how many seasoned qualitative researchers, we're talking experts from 38 different countries, all co-signed a paper with a super clear message. They are flat out rejecting the use of generative AI for the kind of work they do. And, this isn't just some small niche group. This is a massive global coalition making a stand.
Okay, so here's the game plan for breaking this all down. We'll start with the warning from these 416 experts, then we'll get into what this reflexive research thing actually is. After that, we'll tackle their three big arguments: the meaning problem, the human problem, and the ethical problem. And finally, we'll look at their big final rejection.
Right, so first up, a warning from 416 experts. This is a united stand against Gen AI in research. And I want to be clear, this isn't just some casual blog post. We're talking about a formal paper from researchers whose entire job is to understand human experience. They all come together to say no to using Gen AI for this really deep, interpretive kind of analysis.
And what's so important to get here is that they're not just, being anti-tech Luddites. Their argument is really specific and it's built on solid principles. They're saying that for their particular kind of work, Gen AI is fundamentally unsuitable. Not because it's new or has a few bugs, but because of its very DNA. They've got serious concerns about the methodology and the ethics.
So that brings us to the core of this whole debate. What even is reflexive research? To really get what's at stake, we have to understand this term. Because it's not about crunching numbers or just finding keywords. No, it's something way, way deeper.
So here's the definition. It's a deeply subjective and iterative process. The key words there are subjective, iterative, and meaning. What this really means is that a human researcher isn't just a data processor. They are actively interpreting the data, reflecting on it, understanding its context, especially things like power dynamics that might be shaping what someone is saying. Honestly, it's as much an art as it is a science.
And this comparison here just lays it out perfectly. On one side, you've got reflexive analysis. That's all about interpretation, context, figuring out the why behind everything. The tool, it's human subjectivity and reflection. But then you look at the other side, automated analysis. That's the AI. It's focused on patterns, keywords, the what. The tool is just an algorithm, and the goal is to sort data into boxes, not to actually understand it.
Okay, which brings us to their first big point, what they call the meaning problem. This really gets to the heart of the matter. Can an algorithm truly understand anything?
The researchers are pretty blunt about it. They say Gen AI is simulated intelligence only. Think about it. It's amazing at predicting the next word in a sentence, right? It's all based on statistical patterns, but it has absolutely no real understanding of what those words mean. It's just a brilliant mimic, a high-tech parrot that can't grasp the context or the emotion behind what it's processing.
And there's a huge danger in that mimicry. Because AI learns from all the data we feed it, it naturally reinforces the most dominant mainstream patterns. And the researchers are really worried about this. They say it risks the further quieting of marginal voices. It could totally erase all the stunning, quirky, complex, and unpredictable ways of knowing, which, ironically, are often the most important discoveries you can make.
All right, on to their second major argument, the human problem. And this one tackles that classic suggestion you always hear. Well, why not just put a human in the loop? Yeah, this is the question everyone asks, right? So what if a human is kept in the loop to supervise the AI? If the machine messes up, a person can just step in, check its work, fix it. Sounds like the best of both worlds, doesn't it? Well, according to these experts, it's really not that simple. And this is such a fascinating point they make. The paper argues that our deep-down desire for AI to be reliable actually makes us less critical of what it spits out. We start trusting it too much. So instead of being a careful supervisor, that human in the loop can just become a rubber stamp. And that sneakily introduces a whole new set of risks. Ultimately, they say that researchers must anchor the process of making strong psychodynamic interpretations in their own humanity. What that means is, for this kind of work, you are the instrument. You have to use your own empathy, your own life experience, your own gut feelings to make sense of things. And that is something you just can't outsource to a machine, period.
Okay, so their third and final argument really zooms out.
It's the ethical problem. This is where they look past the methodology and focus on the hidden, real-world costs of building all this AI.
And they lay out some really serious harms. We're talking about extractivist and colonialist practices, the devastating environmental impact from water and energy use, the very real psychological harm to data workers, often in the Global South, and how it all fuels inequity. They're basically saying, as researchers who care about ethics, we can't just pretend these things aren't happening.
So after laying out all these problems, methodological, human, and ethical, they reach their final conclusion, and it is crystal clear.
And for all these reasons, their conclusion is just firm. There's no compromise. This isn't them saying, oh, let's be cautious, or we need more studies. Nope. Based on the fundamental problems they've just laid out, their stance is direct and leaves zero room for debate.
And this is the final word from them, a direct quote. For these reasons, we reject Gen AI for reflexive thematic analysis and other reflexive qualitative approaches. It is a powerful collective rejection. They are drawing a very clear line in the sand. For this kind of deeply human work, Gen AI just isn't the right tool. It can't be.
So, this whole thing leaves us with a much bigger question, one that goes way beyond academia. As AI gets more and more capable, how do we decide which tasks should remain fundamentally human? This isn't just about what we can hand over to a machine. It's about what we shouldn't. And that's a conversation we're all going to need to have.